tonight. Since the last school board election for these two seats, PUSD has transitioned from at-large elections to trustee area elections. This year, we have two contested races on the November ballot, trustee areas 3 and 4. Area 3 candidates are Donalyn Harris and incumbent Kelly McCaughey. Area 4 candidates are Jen Flynn and Charlie Jones. For tonight's forum, we have all the candidates participate at the same time regardless of the area. While only voters in areas 3 and 4 will be able to cast a ballot for their preferred candidate, board trustees represent the entire school district. It's important that all residents get to know the candidates and hear about their views, values, and vision for PUSD's future. I'm Gina Chanel Wilcox. I'm the president of Embarcadero Media's East Bay Division, which includes the Pleasanton Weekly, Danville San Ramon, and Livermore Vine. My co-moderator tonight is Jeremy Walsh, our editorial director. Our staff reporter, Christian Trujano, is covering the forum, and our freelancer, Chuck Decker, is taking photographs for us tonight. And thank you to the Pleasanton PTA Council and the Pleasanton Partnerships and Education Foundation, otherwise known as PPIE, for partnering on the logistics of this forum and volunteering here tonight, and to the Pleasanton Unified School District for helping to coordinate the venue and video recording. Finally, thank you to the school board candidates for joining us this evening. We are going to start with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. Then each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to questions. Our timekeeper, Andrea, will signal you when you have 30 seconds remaining so you don't have to watch the clock over here. And in the interest of time, and allowing as many questions as possible to be posed, we will ask the candidates to save any rebuttals for their closing statements. We have some prepared questions and some questions that were emailed to us from readers. We had a lot of questions emailed to us from readers, so that was great. We will also be collecting additional questions from the audience. If you have a question, please write it on an index card. And there are more index cards on the table and back, but they have them right here. And then signal one of our volunteers and they will bring that card up to us. We'll consolidate questions on the same subject and ask as many questions as time allows, but please understand that we will not be able to ask every question. And at the end, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing statements. So let's get started with, and out of respect for the candidates and others, let's agree that all audience members will be polite, attentive, and as quiet as possible. Please silence your cell phones. And we're going to get started now in alphabetical order by area with candidate Harris giving her opening statement first. Then we will alternate who speaks first during the questioning portion. Candidate Harris.
Thank you. I'm not on mute, am I?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Donalyn Harris. I'm running for Pleasanton Unified School District's Area 3 trustee seat. My youngest children are in 11th grade here in Pleasanton. They attend Amarillo Valley High School and middle college, and I've had children in PUSD since the last century, since 1999. I'm also a Pleasanton native. I attended Walnut Grove and Harvest Park, and I graduated from Amador and then eventually from UC Berkeley. I've been a substitute teacher since 2015, and I was in the classroom at Amador and Harvest Park full-time, taking long-term positions since fall of 2021, filling a need for our students and school community. And I've been deeply invested in our Area 3 community by way of my kids' schools, serving as president, treasurer, and most other roles in their site PTAs, as well as in their music booster programs over the past decade. I worked to raise and responsibly direct hundreds of thousands of dollars into our schools and programs, celebrating clean audits every single year. I've been working with students, teachers, and administrators by day, volunteering with parents and grassroots community members during my evenings and weekends. That's a lot of time to hear about what's working and what isn't directly from the people who are experiencing it. I've also served on the board of PPIE, and I was proud to serve as president of Pleasanton PTA Council from 2020 to 2022. And I also served on the Superintendent's Budget Advisory Committee in 2020. That experience provided me with a deep and thorough understanding of our district, its budget, its policies, its needs, and I look forward to putting my extensive knowledge and experience to work advocating for the residents of Trustee Area 3, for all of Pleasanton students, families, staff, and community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Makashi.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kelly Makashi, rerunning for trustee for Area 3. I have the elected experience serving on several different committees throughout the district, including the policy as well as the curriculum committees. Currently, I am vice chair of the city district liaison committee, so I am working to partner with the district to meet and the city to meet our students' needs. I have the experience working in education for the last 30 years, not only as an art educator, but as a professional development trainer with teachers and as an ed tech specialist, management experience. I also have executive leadership experience working with 2 nonprofits, so I have a wealth of knowledge. At the state level, I have lobbied for the K2 dyslexia screener for our students. I advocate for all of our students. I have 3 several priorities that I'm advocating with my campaign. Impactful education for our students. Engaging with all of our students with real life learning, meaningful assessments. And third, ensuring that every child has access to a quality education. In addition, I have core principles that I stand for: respecting cultural diversity and equity for our students. I also believe in supporting engaging decisions with our unions, with our educational partners, and our parents that are student-driven and collaborative. Third, I also believe in tighter bond and financial oversight to ensure that we're making the best decisions for our students. My work's not done, and that's why I'm running again. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Flynn.
Good evening. Thank you, Pleasanton Weekly, PPIE, and Pleasanton PTA Council for this opportunity. I'm Jen Flynn, and I'm running for District 4 School Board Trustee. I'm a proud parent of 3 boys who are now students at Las Positas, Foothill, and Pleasanton Middle School. I have been dedicated to supporting Pleasanton students and teachers for over a decade, providing leadership on multiple PTA boards, volunteering in the classroom, and working in the office at First Elementary. Currently, I proudly serve on the PPIE Board of Directors, where we unite as a community to raise funds that directly enhance our Pleasanton schools. I believe I can make a difference serving you on the school board. My priorities include fiscal responsibility, transparency, retaining and attracting excellent teachers and staff, providing open and transparent communication with our community, ensuring school safety, and advocating for all students. My work as the Vice Chair on the Superintendent's Budget Advisory Committee could not be more important at this time in our school district. Working with teachers, community members, and staff, we are navigating the many strategies for enhancing educational opportunities for all students during these tough budget times. With Steve Maha retiring, District 4 is an open seat, and I am honored to have his full endorsement along with 3 other trustees, many parents, teachers, and staff, many of which who are here with us tonight. I am deeply committed to fostering a strong educational system that supports all students. I'm committed to listening to you, working together.
Sorry.
I didn't see you for a second.
And last but not least, Candidate Jones.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Jones, and I am running to be your next Area 4 School Board Trustee. I'm a proud product of Pleasanton Schools. PUSD's reputation brought my family here, just like many others, and our teachers molded me into the person I am today. The first teacher I had was Mrs. O'Sullivan over at Alisal, who helped me feel like I truly belonged, even after moving from a state that was very different from California. Miss Barry over at PMS was my homeroom history teacher, who let me step in front of the class one day and lecture on a part of history that I love. It was the first time I thought to myself that this is something that I could do in the future, that I could one day be a teacher too. And Mr. Grantham over at Amador Valley, because of him and the music program that he built, I had the safe space I needed to become my true self and see that the role of teacher is not just teaching material, but also to inspire us to be the best version of ourselves. I wasn't just raised in this community, I was raised by this community. After high school, I continued at Las Positas before transferring to Arizona State, where I got my degree in history and secondary education. Now I'm a high school social studies teacher in my 8th year and a department chair just like Ms. Badalega over at Amador, and I still look up to her today. I'm running because I want to give back to the community that gave me everything and ensure that it continues to support every family. Our district is in crisis. You need someone with the experience to do this job on day one. With me, you get someone who has stabilized district budgets for years as a leader in the teacher association. You get an education expert who has grown and expanded programs like advanced placement and social studies. You get a proven leader who has successfully organized families to protect schools from being defunded. With me, you get a partner on the school board who hears you and is laser focused on supporting your kids. That's what I do every day for my students, and that's what I intend to do for your kids and our community.
Thank you. Our first question will start with Kelly Wakashi. And let's start with the big budget problem for next school year. The topic of a major school board meeting here last night. District officials cite factors such as COVID relief funding being gone, declining enrollment, costs of attracting and retaining the best staff, low cost of living increase from the state while facing high inflation, and the fact that USC is a low funded district under the state formula anyway. What did you think of last night's budget workshop? And what specific actions will you advocate for as a board member to balance the budget within those categories, as district staff put it, of realignment, right sizing, and or revenue generation?
Okay, yes, I have a lot to reflect on last night's meeting. Ultimately, what came out of that meeting is something that I initiated in the core conversation about doing a program evaluation, taking a look at every single program in the district and taking a look at, first off, how does it align to our students? What is the cost generation of that particular program? And how many students does it impact? And also, how does that incorporate with the staffing of our teachers? Where are the redundancies? That is essential for alignment and the right sizing of our classrooms. One of the other things that echoed from last night's discussions is how one-time funding has gone away. However, the district needs to shift and actually take a look at which positions are still being covered through the general fund right now and why. We need to do an entire evaluation. There are 3 categories that the district needs to take a look at: staffing, personnel, number 1. Number 2, services and operations, and books and supplies. We need to look holistically at every single area where to cut. We can look at parcel taxes, but we have to engage the community with that, a community-based parcel to help support a solution, because without the buy-in from our community, it's not going to happen. More importantly, we need to look and strategically at where are we going to make those cuts furthest from the classroom, and also keeping in mind at the end of the day, it's the students that will be impacted. This is the long overhaul, big strategy. We need to make changes now, and I will support doing that to help our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Flynn, Area 4.
This is a great question. one that I've been working on for a couple months now here at the district. And so supporting the district on the Budget Advisory Committee and intensely looking at different strategies to either make cuts or increase our revenues. So I'm proud to say that we have worked very hard and we have come up with some great strategies that were given last night at that meeting. I was not at that meeting, I was at a meet and greet campaigning, so that I was not available for that. But doing the hard work is very important. And so as a parent, I'd like to keep the cuts as far away from our students and teachers as possible. Ways that we can do that is increase our TK enrollment. Once we increase our TK enrollment, we need to increase our Kids Club. Our Kids Club program brings in 1.3 approximately into our general fund every year. Every school has a wait list for children that waiting to get on that into Kids Club. And so I would like to see our open classrooms in the schools used to increase that, increase our Kids Club program that will then create more revenues for our general fund. That also will help our parents as well because, you know, we have children that get on a bus and go to a different Kids Club program after school. So it's money that is just leaving our driveway every day after school. So I'd love to see that. So we need to investigate unnecessary spending, evaluate our resources, make sure we're not duplicating things in the classroom, make sure from school site to school site, we're using the same resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie Jones, Area 4.
So, I mean, you're gonna hear from all of us tonight that we want cuts to be the farthest away from the classroom. We're parents, we're teachers, this is what we always desire. The reality though is that our budget is a pie with very limited slices. What you take from one spot is being added to another. And so we actually do need to be serious about the fact that somebody is going to get hurt. We are going to have to most likely reduce some of the jobs that we have, not just redundancies, but we also need to look at the fact that there is a positive. The California School Board Association received a report that our revenue since April is up billions. 40% of our budget comes from Prop 98 funding, and we're projecting better shape for next year. We have to always use the year prior. So what this means for us is that we're in a better position most likely for next year, which means some of these cuts could very well be temporary and not permanent, which is a nice thing for us to see. At the end of the day though, we need to be better about our ADA funding that comes from students. After COVID, our census numbers don't match the number of students that we should have. There's about 3,000 more students that we should have in this district. That is money that we are leaving on the table that we should be bringing back in. We should be asking, where are those students right now? How can we get them back? That is a way that we can help reduce and push back on these cuts and these issues that we are running into. There are a lot of things we do have to fund. Special ed, foster service, homeless youth, that is a guaranteed funding. But one way we could have saved money was by not wasting it going out and searching for an interim superintendent when we have people here we could have hired right now with the experience internally. That would have saved us a lot of money. So there are things that we can do. I believe in us as a district. I've worked on budgets like this in the past. We do want it far away from the classes, but at the same time, we need to be honest with the public. What are we planning to do? And that is going to probably be, to some extent, personnel and redundancies and restructuring of who we are hiring.
Thank you. And Donald Harris, Area 3.
Cleanup is always my favorite shift. Okay, well, fortunately everybody here is right. This is a very big problem and it's a complex one. It isn't one that you can just solve in 2 minutes. But the other issue that I would like to build upon is that just like Mr. Jones said, it is a very small pie, but we do need to continue working to get California to increase the size of the pie that they send us every year. The CSBA has been a big proponent of full and fair funding for a long time, and I really have been excited about organizing parents at a grassroots level to increase the pressure on the state to increase the amount of funding that we get. The other issue that this brings to light is that there are a lot of programs with redundancies, and we could do a much better job throughout the year ensuring that we have metrics to continuously gauge how effective those are, whether or not they're worth funding, where we can increase or cut back on those, and really do the best job that we can with our funds.
Thank you. Moving on to question 2, we will start with Jen Flynn, Area 4. One of the most important decisions the elected trustees will ever make in office will come early, hiring a new permanent superintendent. What characteristics are you looking for most in the next PUSD superintendent? And as the top candidates are vetted and interviewed, how, if at all, should district employees, parents, students, and other important stakeholders be involved in that review process?
So I'm excited that we'll have a new superintendent here at PUSD. I've had the honor of working with Superintendent Hagelin and as well as the interim or Dr. Geisels. I've worked on multiple committees with them, and the qualifications that I would look for in a superintendent, I want somebody with experience in budget crisis, somebody that has already been through this process that can carry us through. I want somebody who's straightforward. He's a leader that's student-centered. So he is going to be in the schools, visiting the schools, in your classrooms. He wants to know the details. He's not going to be afraid, he or she, my apologies, he'll have a sense of urgency. They will have a sense of urgency when it comes to concerns from staff and parents. We need them to be engaging and community-oriented. Superintendent sets a new positive tone for labor negotiations and partnerships. This is very important in our district. We need someone that is a leader that will take us through and not just lead at our top level. We want them to lead at the bottom with our school sites up to our district office, which is important. That leader needs to be all around. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Jones, Area 4.
Well, the superintendent is the only employee that we can hire and fire. It's an important position to be in. So when we look for somebody like this, I've actually been in a superintendent search in my prior district. I've been through this process before. So it's interesting to now be on it from this side again. You're going to want somebody who understands and knows our community and has worked with communities that are similar to ours and how it is shifting demographics wise. Otherwise, there's going to be a disconnect, and that leads to tension and problems. And we've seen this come up before. The other thing that you need in a superintendent is somebody who does not micromanage. Because if they don't trust their employees enough to delegate, then you're not going to have strong leadership coming up the pipeline for when you need people to be promoted. So you want somebody who trusts in their employees to be able to do their job and isn't constantly telling them you need to do this at this time and in this way. This is important. And you also need somebody who is going to be able to rebuild the trust between our labor partners, our parents, and our students, because right now that trust has been broken. And until that's repaired, we're going to continue to see these impasses come up again and again like we've seen for the last couple of years. And we're better than that. Pleasanton is known as a community that cares. We're one of the best districts in the state. So we can move beyond this. Our superintendent needs to be somebody that has a strong moral compass and stands by what they believe and will stand up for their staff and for their students and for the parents when things are going wrong and take responsibility for anything that might come their way and be solutions oriented. I believe we can find somebody like that. Everybody up here at this table cares about this district and they want to find somebody who's good for us. So together, we need to make sure that we're reaching out like we have to our partners, making sure that we're meeting people where they are and not just sending surveys because that's not how you reach people. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Harris, Area 3.
Thank you. Sorry. Superintendent qualities. This plays around in my mind so frequently. As PTA council president, I had the experience of building a very solid functional relationship with our previous superintendent. And while I didn't always agree with what he said or how he said, I was very proud of the fact that our community, our PTA council community was able to work constructively together and really accomplish a lot of positive things for our students. That being said, he has left quite the hole here in a very difficult time, and therefore this moment uniquely we need to find someone who is very well versed and familiar with our specific budgetary needs and requirements. That's just a non-starter. Does that person need to have been a superintendent before? Probably. I mean, it would be nice, but not necessarily. What I really want to say is we need someone who doesn't treat our teachers like customer service providers and who doesn't treat parents like difficult customers. We really need someone who sees parents, teachers, students, the entire community as members of a very invested partnership. Because if we're not all in it together, we're all going to fall apart. We're going to see the kind of disruption and fractured community that we're seeing now. So we need someone who is a consensus and community builder.
Thank you. And candidate Makashi, Area 3.
This is a great question. In the 30 years of my experience in education, I have worked with many different types of leaders and superintendents. There's some core qualities that I feel are really important for any leader, and in particular for a superintendent that's going to carry through with Pleasanton with some of the challenges that our community needs to get past. First, integrity. And the core characteristics is really to the integrity of the individual. I also believe that transparency, equality, and being able to be clearly transparent on the intentions and goals to lead our district. Some other qualities I was thinking about is listening to all educational partners, our parents, our teachers, our students, and community partners. There's a lot of qualities that we feel, I think in general for superintendents, that is essential. But I had the experience of hiring and firing personnel. And I will say that one of the most important attributes and characteristics is having a leader that can have a vision and help execute that vision through transformative change and not be afraid to take people along. What that means is not top-down leadership, but from the bottom up, from the ground up. Get the buy-in from the teachers. Have teachers, students have a voice. We need to have everyone heard. The other thing I think that is essential for a superintendent is to not be above the board, to be willing to work with each and every trustee and build the core relationships, because the relationships is the foundation of how we guide and build success for our students. So those are some of the qualities and characteristics I believe our superintendent needs, and I have the skill and know-how to take a look at that type of candidate when hiring. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Charlie Jones, Area 4. Student safety is on so many people's minds, especially when we're still less than a year removed from the scary situation just down the road at Fairlands Elementary when an intruder made his way onto the campus and camped out in a storage room overnight, unnoticed. How do you assess the district's record on the physical well-being and mental health of students? What more can be done to better support students in these areas as they carry out their education in Pleasanton schools?
As a teacher, for the last 8 years, I have been in a total of 5 lockdowns, and I've had 2 of my students shot at some point. So this is very personal for me and something I have experienced firsthand. I don't think Pleasanton is doing enough. I know we're not doing enough because, sorry, it's just, like I said, it's personal for me. I watched as our school board almost cut counselors, both mental and academic, at our school sites this year. Almost 1 to 2 at each, until the community stood up and said no and fought back on that. So I do not think we're where we need to be when it comes to mental health. And for security, this community has made clear that they do feel the need for an SRO to be at the different sites, but we do not have that at every single one of our sites. And when we did poll the community about that, we actually did not check it by ethnic demographic makeup either. We just said, oh, the majority would like that. But just because the majority says it, if the minority is feeling uncomfortable, which groups are feeling uncomfortable? How do we know if they are feeling safe from that? So if we are going to add SROs, let's make sure that we do this right. Well, let's also start with, again, mental health, making sure that we have these counselors every single day at these sites. Did you know that our district actually can get funding from the county for Alameda County Board of Education for the Medi-Cal buyback program, where they'll actually pay for the mental health of our students when it's an emergency or it's needed, so that the family doesn't have to pay for that. It's a program they started this year to help with mental services for students. It's fantastic, and most families don't know about that opportunity. So yeah, there's a lot we could be doing for safety and mental health. That's personal for me. I've seen what happens to students when they don't have that mental health support. I don't wish that on any family. I saw that happen with mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Donald Harris, Area 3.
Thank you. Regarding PUSD site safety, we are very lucky that we have parents and grandparents and community members who serve in roles that function as eyes and ears watching over our students. But 1 or 2 adults for 750 elementary students. I mean, we can do the math. That's really not very much. I did also hear from a couple of folks who were part of the school site council meeting when the school safety plan came up. It was treated rather cursorily quickly, and a lot of folks didn't feel like it had the kind of time and attention that it really deserved. Yeah, it's something that should be at the forefront of our discussions when we talk about caring for our students. And I think that unfortunately, we've been so desensitized to acts of violence that happen in our schools, when we take for granted that it's just going to happen, when really we need a reality check. We need to reset from zero our responsibility to look out not only for our students, but for all of our staff, all of our community members who are looking out for our kids. And yes, as Mr. Jones says, wellness is safety, and ensuring that we have adequate staffing and funding for wellness at not just our high schools, but our middle schools and our elementary schools as well, can really prevent a lot of unkind situations from happening and escalating. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Kashi, Area 3.
Yes, so I'd first like to start out with some of the efforts the district has done around overall student emotional well-being. There are some celebrations. First, some of the programs in place, MTSS, PBIS, these are behavior structures in place for our students. There are curriculums in place that support social emotional learning for our students. Those are accolades that we can celebrate. However, there are always places where we can improve. It's no lie, the effects of the pandemic are still here. Our students are suffering. That is why it's paramount that the district find, and I support 100% support for our school counselors. I saw firsthand how the school counselor for my son was in middle school and how she made a difference in his life to actually come to school. There are challenges in regard to anti-bullying situations with our students and how to deal with conflict. That is actually the other efforts with our school resource officers. It is true we don't have enough of them. There's been a challenge with funding. We're partnering with the city, and thankfully they're helping to fund the school resource officers. The school resource officers are oftentimes the first person to engage with a student where there might be a challenge. And one of their roles is not only to provide a sense of safety, but also to work and build relationships with our students. So yes, there are challenges. I would say that the district was very responsive to some of the security issues. There's been funding with Measure I-1 to highlight gate security, security cameras around our campuses, and certainly the district will continue to ensure the safety of our students. But at the end of the day, it's really about how do our students feel? Do they feel safe? And I would say, yes, we will continue to provide supports for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jen Flynn, Area 4.
Thank you. So safety is number one priority. I've been at the school sites when the children are hiding under their desks and the teachers are emailing me saying, all here. I've also been at the school site when you get an email from a teacher saying, we're missing someone and we need to go find that student. Your heart pounds through your chest as you race through the school trying to find that student to ensure their safety. The gates that are the fences that have been put around the district schools are helpful. The doors now at the offices are now locked and you must buzz to get in. These are all very important things that the bond measure has brought to us. Supporting the SRO programs, I have been to those city council meetings where we have fought to continue those programs. I have introduced myself to the SRO officers. As a parent, I want my children to know them as well. I would love to see these SRO programs brought to the elementary students so that they recognize these people as they go up into high school. It's not just something that is thrown at them in high school. I would say that my children alone, I actually asked them, do you know what an SRO officer is? And they said, no, they don't. So I think it's really important that we start them young and introduce that program to them so that they feel safe going to that person. Like I said, I've been at the district office for safety, fire safety, drills. It's very scary for the little ones. I think we continue to do that and mix up our drills a little bit so that it's not just procedure and they actually understand that this is a scary thing that really could happen. Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on, this next question, Donalyn Harris from Area 3 will answer first. And this question is another good example of one that was suggested by a reader before the forum. It centers on equity in the educational experience. What steps would you take to ensure that all students are successful academically, socially, and emotionally at PUSD, both in the classroom and at school-sanctioned extracurricular activities, regardless of ability, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, religion, gender, or sexual identity?
I'm sorry, did you say, what steps would I take to ensure that?
What steps would you take to ensure that?
All right, well, I am very excited to answer this question because this was very near and dear to my heart. I've been very fortunate to have served on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and that's been eye-opening to hear the kind of experiences, negative experiences that our students have had, but it's also been a really lovely, wonderful opportunity to find ways to bridge differences. A fundamental part of our education is about learning how to deal with the people around us. No matter where kids come from when they get here, they're going to move on into somewhere else and they're going to meet a whole bunch of different kinds of people. So part of what we started doing in Walnut Grove was, we had a really wonderful multicultural fair where everyone was able to come together to bring foods from their ancestral homes, to wear clothes, to celebrate, share a dance, share all of that. I see someone back there nodding along. Yes, and getting to know the people around them really helps to break down those differences and helps children understand that, just because a label sounds different from how they identify, that really they have much more in common than they have that which divides us. As far as ensuring that that the district practices equity, I do appreciate the equity policies that the districts put into practice these last couple of years. I think that they're making great strides, but we really need to continue ensuring that those policies are practiced and that opportunities are available for everyone.
Kelly McComish, Area 3.
I think this is a great question, and I'd like to applaud the district and some of the instrumental work that has already been done since I've currently been on the board, including the district-wide work on overhauling the diversity and equity policy, not only with the trustees, but engaging the community with that. Serving on the policy committee, we've been engaging with family members, constituents, and parents in regards to some of the policies to be overhauled and modified to support some of the challenges. For example, just recently we met with families to work on a zero tolerance policy on hate. For example, using inappropriate language with the N-word has been very powerful in actually not only changing the policy, but communicating with staff and teachers to actually support how does that transcend into the classroom. There are some things that we need to continue to do. The equity work needs to actually provide additional support for our teachers in the classroom. Providing additional supports for our teachers on implicit bias, microaggressions, and what does that actually transcend into the classroom. Yes, the district's done some good work with equity grading, but what does that actually look like into the classroom, ensuring that every student has access and is not being hindered by perhaps they're working at home, taking care of siblings, and that homework can't get done. We need to continue to break down the barriers, see every child as an asset. Our teachers are doing great work. We need to continue to work together to provide that diversity and equity work so it becomes meaningful at the classroom and at the child student level. And there's much work to continue to do, and I will advocate to ensure that the equity is becoming a process that is mirrored with each child and what that means for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Flynn, Area 4.
Thank you. So equity for our students really is important. And so one of the things that I've thought about with equity is our reading aids. Why do we not have reading aids for early intervention? Why do we not have aids that can work in small groups for our teachers? Right now, our teachers are in a classroom with 30 some children, and they pull those students out and work with them individually or in a small group. While this is happening, the other students in the classroom are on their iPads, or they're working individually or in another small group. I think it's very important if we can, as a district, support our teachers and our students with an aid that can take that one-on-one work or that small group work and make it easier for the classroom as a whole. I really feel like if we can address the reading challenges early, it really benefits all the students, all the teachers, and the parents. It relieves a lot of frustration with those categories. So I do very much advocate for student equality, and that every student feels that they have a place and a home here in PUSD. Thank you.
Charlie Jones, Area 4.
Oh, you're giving me 2 minutes for something that is in my wheelhouse and I could talk hours on. So right off the bat, only a third of Black and Latino children in this district are currently passing with our CAS scores. So we need to do an actual investigation into the programs that we're using, what is effective about them, what is not, what teachers are being effective, and what can we learn from them on how to better serve these students. We brought the SAT back, but we also need the ACT, and we should be doing the pre-SAT and ACT at lower levels. And we should also be offering this during the school day and allowing that proctoring, because that's more equitable and fair. Instead of expecting like parents to try and do this outside or during their work hours, we have a lot going on. We also need to restore the foster program counseling system that we had in this district that was phenomenal. Our community of character like award reader, she spoke on this. That's a family friend of mine. It helped get her into college. So to have that cut and lost from this district is awful. My grandmother raised 8 kids to the foster system because she believed no child should go without love. I firmly believe that as a teacher. We also need an ELD lead at all the elementary school sites. We currently don't. We wonder why students sometimes have attendance issues. Why would you show up if you don't have the supports right from the beginning to help you be successful at these school sites? But even bigger, we need the right amount of paras and BIAs in all of our classes if we're truly going to do the push-in model for our classes, truly make sure that our special needs children are included in it. Too many times, my cousins who are special needs haven't been able to actually participate in the class because the paras weren't there because not enough were hired. The numbers weren't there. Having BIAs to help translate and make sure that our students in the class feel like they're belonging there, that they're a part of it and not just put to the side or against the wall to be gotten to later. And as the first gay elected, that's representation. It matters for people.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Kalamakashi, Area 3. How will you look to work with local teachers individually and the Association of Pleasanton Teachers collectively to achieve shared goals for students and the district? Are there any topic areas on which you would want to push back on or challenge the teachers union? Oh, and has APT endorsed you or donated to your campaign? And if so, how much have you received?
Okay, that's a loaded question. So what I'd like to state is that one of the proudest things I can share in terms of my work serving as an elected trustee for the last 4 years is just that, building relationships not only with individual teachers, but consistently with collectively as the entire teachers union. It's been the track record that I have stood representing them, whether it was to budget cuts for school counselors in terms of teachers' concerns related to access with their students' schedules. There's countless situations in working and collaborating with the teachers I will continue to fight for based upon what the voice is. It's really about the relationships that we build. I've been having that track record, understanding as a former teacher myself, that it is, the decisions have to be collaborative and working together with the teachers. One of the biggest things that we need to continue to move forward, working together on is what is it to, in terms of the effort with the teachers working and that they're being compensated fairly. What I would like to say is that it takes a village. And not only am I advocating for our students, but I'm advocating for the teachers as well. In terms of collaboration and the financial aspect, at this point in time, I have not received anything as of yet. That's still in the works. But to me, it's not about the money. It's about them coming out to support me, because I'm not afraid to stand up for what is right. And they are coming out to help pass out flyers, advocate for what's right. And it's for them believing in me that I'm standing up for them. And that is what I can say is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Flynn, Area 4.
Many of the teachers in this school district are my friends. I've worked with them, they're my coworkers. They are also my children's teachers, counselors, and site secretaries, school nurses. I will work with everybody at this district. That's who I am. What you see is what you get. I will support everybody from the district office down to the schools, including our janitors, who I often bought lunch for. Thank you, Anthony. I was not interviewed by APT to receive endorsement. Just like there's 5 candidates that are running this year, 4 of them were interviewed, I was not. So therefore, I do not have an APT endorsement, and that's okay. I still am here to support the teachers, I'm here to support the staff, and I'm here to support the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie Jones, Area 4.
So I already knew that I wanted to run all the way back in March, because for me, when you're serious about running a campaign, you need to start early and you need to build a coalition. When you run something, it's a grassroots organization. You build it from the ground up. So I reached out to APT early back in March and got the early endorsement from them because they did believe that I'm a highly qualified candidate. As a leader of a teacher association, of course I'm a member of a union. I'm a teacher. We all are. That's how we protect class sizes and make sure that our buildings run and function correctly for our students. We keep them safe. So I am endorsed by APT because they believe that I'm the best person and most qualified for this job. I've been trained on how to do the budgets because I'm a member of the union. On top of that though, I did receive financial contributions from them. If you add the total number of their members together, each of them gave me $15, which is about the cost of coffee at Starbucks. It's not a lot, but when you put people together and you build a community collaboration, it does equal a good amount of money because they believe in me. I'm also supported by the California School Employees Association because the school service employees also believe that I am the best candidate for this position and the best qualified because I understand not just how to enforce the budget, but how to build and how to run one. I don't always agree with them. An endorsement does not mean that they expect loyalty. They expect you to do what's right by students. And I will always put students first and do right by them. I disagree with APT right at that dais. I spoke right after their president and told them we should have hired internally, that we should have gone with somebody who was already here, and I named them out loud at that board meeting. So I'm more than comfortable to disagree with those who have endorsed me when I believe it's for the best interest of students, because that is why we are here, because we can agree that students are what matters, and when it matters most, we'll come together and we'll do the right thing. Thank you.
Donald Harris, Area 3.
I feel so incredibly lucky to have been able to work full-time with teachers on staff at Harvest Park and at Amador the last couple of years, and I just can't even describe the kind of joy that I felt working with my children's teachers at Walnut Grove, and also Alisal. Although Alisal was a long time ago, but let's not talk about that. Back when things were becoming really contentious with the contract negotiations, PUSD offered or discussed offering up to $600 a day for substitutes, and I came to the meeting and I wore black in support for APT, even though because I was not a contracted teacher, I was not allowed to join the union. I stood with them through the difficult times when teachers at our school sites needed additional funding. I stepped up to raise the funds so that not only our students would have everything that they needed in their classrooms, but the teachers would be equipped as well as they felt like they could be in order to support our kids. And I just think that without that kind of partnership, nobody gets everything that they need. Therefore, I look forward to partnering with teachers individually as well as with APT to ensure that everybody's goals can be met. I think that when everybody's happy and clicking along, that's the best outcome that we can hope for. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to start with Jen Flynn, Area 4, with this question. What do you think of the current grading system across all school levels in Pleasanton? How do you respond to criticisms about things like grade inflation, homework, test retakes, and or even a regression in academic rigor here in PUSD?
The grading system can be a little confusing when you're a parent. I have different grading systems for different kids. And so it is awfully confusing when I'm looking on my parent view and I'm looking at my high school student and the teachers are grading one way, and then I'm looking at a middle school student and they're grading a different way. So that's my personal experience with the grading. There was a second part to that question too, sorry.
How do you feel about criticisms like grade inflation, homework, test retakes, and even regression in academic rigor?
So test retakes, I actually love the opportunity of giving our students an opportunity to do better. I think that we all should, even as adults, be given that opportunity to say, hey, you've done this, but let's try again and do better this time. So I do agree that that's a really important thing to show our children that it's okay to not do the best all the time, but to always try and work harder. Thank you.
Charlie Jones, Area 4.
I do think that it is fair to criticize and to complain about grades. Remember, I was a student here. I complained about my grades and how it was done all the time. Some of my teachers are still teaching. A couple of them are actually in this room. But we are one of the best districts in the state. So when it comes to grade inflation, we need to remember we are phenomenal educators. Our students are incredibly bright. There's a reason that they're able to go into the trades and into quite often the colleges that they want to go to, because they do know the material. They do understand what's going on. We should be proud of that. Now, I do support, I'm a teacher. I give my students test retakes. Our job is not to fail students. Our job is to help them learn and to succeed. If they're failing, that means that we didn't do it right the first time and we need to work together so they understand it the second time around. There's nothing wrong with that. I have ADHD and dyslexia. I was horrible at tests. Horrible. I needed those test retakes. I didn't have a 504 plan, but my teachers understood and they supported me. And I give that same grace to my students. And I think that's important. Grading for equity matters because we do not always know the home life of the students within our district. So when we give second chances, when we allow for grading on a curve, these are things that help people understand that we're not here to fail you, we're here to lift you up and get you to the point where you can be successful. And that's never something that we should be ashamed of. Our slogan for this town is we're a community of character, we're a community of cares. That's how you do that. And so while we might have things we can complain about, in general, our grading, I believe, is pretty good. We could tweak it, sure. But at the end of the day, what we're seeing is our kids are learning and they are getting this material, but we just need to make sure all of them are. Thank you.
Donalyn Harris, Area 3.
Thank you. Okay, equitable grading. What a great big element. So I don't want to share too much. I don't want to go too far into detail of any specific classroom that I was in, and I don't want to throw my children under the bus either. So I will say that I've seen one classroom can serve a very wide spectrum of students as far as where they are on the ability scale. And I think that it's incredibly important that no matter what we're trying to teach them, we need to be able to understand how to assess them and ensure that we're assessing their mastery of the concept. That can look really different for a whole bunch of different kids. Equitable grading doesn't mean that kids get to play on their phones during class and then take a test as many times as they want to until they pass it. That's not what it's about. And I think that that's a place where PUSD maybe kind of missed out on an opportunity to really collaborate with the community and explain in better detail, what that equitable grading can look like. I agree with Jen Flynn, like it's really just a trip to look into student view and try and understand everything that's going on. I know that I have a student who benefits so much from retakes, just doesn't get it the second time, doesn't get it the third, finally gets it the fourth time, and then is able to continue with that cumulative learning like in math or science. I do think that when we can, we should try and level the playing field for all students so that they can be as successful as they can possibly be.
Thank you. And Kelly McCaughey, Area 3.
Yes, I'm very passionate about this with my background in curriculum and education. And in education, we know that the grading is to monitor progress of how students are performing. It's a checkpoint, but it's not who the child is. So what I would say is at the elementary level, I absolutely love the standards-based aspect of the scoring of, basically it's a rubric 1 to 4 based on those concepts and skills taught. It makes sense at the elementary level, but going into the middle school and into the high school level, we understand, and certainly as a trustee, I'm very familiar with the grading policy. At the end of the day, it's not an administrator or any other influence. The grading is determined by the teacher. And at the end of the day, what does that mean? For my children, it's partnering with their teachers to help ensure how are they performing. I have one child that struggles significantly in terms of some of his classes in regards to homework, and retakes is definitely something that is benefiting him. However, I have another child that performs very, very well and doesn't necessarily have to rely on that. So do I support retakes? Yes. In grading with equity, it provides an avenue for providing opportunities for our students to improve. But at the end of the day, it's working with our teachers and our children to set expectations for what they must do to get their work done. And it's the teachers' collaboration to ensure that they will be successful. I support collaborating with our teachers and with our children to help make sure that what they're being asked to do, they're being held accountable for, and that they're going to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Charlie Jones, Area 4. The school board and the district can be heavily impacted by decisions and debates at the state and national levels. We've seen that in past meetings here or in the old boardroom. Just a few of the recent legislative topics that come to mind: LGBTQ student safety, parent notification of gender identification, smartphone use at school, removing books or banning the removal of books, ethnic studies requirements, AI regulations, social media protections, and of course, funding. We got so many questions about these sorts of topics suggested from parents and readers coming into this forum and even here tonight. So what is one piece of state legislation you've been following closely for how it will impact education in Pleasanton? What is your position, and why is it such an important topic for schools?
I love this question. I do political involvement for teacher association, and one of the bills that I've been helping push for and lobby is the paid pregnancy leave bill for both teaching and anyone in staff education that would guarantee 14 weeks of paid leave for anyone that's going through pregnancy within the district that is involved in education. That is huge because right now we don't get pregnancy leave. It's actually insulting. You have to take your sick days and declare your pregnancy a sickness and then spend your days. And then once that's done, not only do you lose those days, but on average, women will make $10,000 less in their retirement than male teachers will because of this. And so I've been lobbying and pushing really hard for that bill because it's important. It would actually be revenue neutral and allow you to not only not use your sick days, but you'd still be a part of Cal STIRS, so you wouldn't be losing out on your retirement. This is huge. This gives you time to bond with your family, the family that you're starting, the child that you have. It's giving you that time, and you're not having to quit. You're not having to schedule when you're having a kid, which is insane. No other profession typically has to do it to that degree like teachers do. So I'm incredibly involved in this one because it truly does matter to me. I believe that we should be treating people who want to start a family with dignity. You shouldn't have to choose between your career and being a mother within this district. So yeah, I'm very passionate. I've spoken with Liz Ortega, who's one of our assembly members in this area. I've worked with Congressman Eric Swalwell. I've also written and pushed about getting rid of what's known as GOP or GEP or WEP, so that if you've done Social Security before becoming a teacher, you can actually collect that. And it's discharged onto the House floor within the next 10 days. They will actually be voting on that, and we think we might be able to get it through the House.
Thank you. Donald Harris, Area 3.
All right, well, I'm bummed because Charlie picked mine, so I had to think of another one really quick. But there are a lot that I pay attention to and care about, and a big one is literary censorship and the books that are available to our students. I know that here in California PUSD, maybe it's not quite as pertinent a topic, but from what I understand, there are some ideas about creating committees in order to not bring awareness, but to propose banning some books for elementary and, well, for all of K-12. I think that anything that brings attention to books that will compel children and students to read them is a good thing. There's a saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. I think that if there are people who want books banned, I think that that's a great reason to read them. And I also think that anybody who wants to ban a book should absolutely have to do a book report and prove that they read it before they decide that they want to have it banned. And then I think that they have to stand up at a board meeting in front of everybody and not only deliver that book report, but also take questions from the audience to ensure that they know and really truly comprehended everything that they were objecting to. That's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Mukashi, Area 3.
Yes, thank you. So as an elected trustee, I have already taken part on this process. I did highlight that, but I wanted to reiterate it again. I have lobbied for the dyslexia screener for students who are struggling in reading K2. So what that means is I spoke in Sacramento in front of the Education Committee advocating for that dyslexia screener, which CTA formally did support as well, and working in collaboration to actually modify that bill before it was passed. That also included talking to various elected officials to also present that case before it was approved by our governor. But our work isn't done. While serving currently on the policy committee with the district, one policy I'm very interested in flushing out further with the district is artificial intelligence. And one of our star teachers has actually taken initiative to actually begin that work. I helped partner this teacher with one of my former colleagues in the ed tech industry who's doing this nationwide with districts throughout the US and how to put together artificial intelligence policies. And that experience has actually pivoted my thought process, because initially I wanted to stay away from AI and ChatGPT, some of the negative aspects of how students might misuse artificial intelligence. But in conversation with many different teachers, and I won't call them out here, but there are some benefits of how to improve instruction using the various tools of artificial intelligence effectively. And most recently, our students at Amador put together using artificial intelligence to screen fact check one of the debates, most recently with our presidential campaign. So there's a lot of growth there, and I support that. So those are one of the policies that I look forward to working in the district. Thank you.
Thank Flynn Area 4.
Okay, I'm gonna touch on something a little bit different that's near and dear to my heart because I have teenagers. AB 3216, the Phone Free School Act. As of July 1st, 2026, all districts will need to have a cell phone restricted policy restricting the use. So both high schools right now have a pilot program, which I love, and the children come into class, they have a little pocket, they put their phone in it, the teacher uses that for attendance. If your phone is not in the pocket, you are not in school as far as you could be in the classroom, but it's just a little incentive to make sure you put your phone in that pocket. We live in a technological world, right? But there are countless studies showing that students have trouble concentrating when they have their phones in class. I have a teenager who has long hair who purposefully has earbuds in because his hair can cover it. So I think it is important that when they're in the classroom, they're focused, they are learning, and also important for our teachers to not have to monitor TikTok while they're doing their educational, so I look forward to having a clear policy and working with the district to make that policy, and then also just implementing it at the school sites. Thank you.
Thank you, and we are going to move on to our final question tonight, and we're going to start with Donaldin Harris, Area 3. We have many questions have come to us asking for clarification on how really connected the candidates are to the Pleasanton community. How long have they lived in Pleasanton? How involved are they in Pleasanton schools? And how much do they understand about the ins and outs of this district? What do you say to your area constituents and the community at large about your level of involvement in PUSD schools, your ability to help lead this district, and your dedication to Pleasanton overall?
Really good question to talk about. All right, okay. Well, I live in the house that was my grandparents' house. My children attend the schools that I attended. I don't think I could possibly be any more embedded in PUSD unless I was a tick in Jen Bell's leg. My dedication and persistence in dedication lies probably in the fact that when I was in elementary school, my older brother, who has some profound developmental disabilities, he really did not. PUSD was not capable of handling his significant level of need. And so a lot of the moms around my parents stood up and they became my moms too. And school became the other place where I went to go home. Just like Charlie said, this place also raised me. And I can't, it's really difficult for me to articulate how much like home this place feels to me. I've tried living in other places and I just always can't wait to get back. My children do not know how lucky they are, even though they get so frustrated that everywhere we go, they know somebody. And Mom, you can't go to the store, Mom, because you only have 10 minutes. You're gonna run into like 3 people you know, and it's just gonna take an hour. And oh my gosh, Mom, just stop talking to everybody. I love this place, and I cannot wait to give this place back as much as it's given me. I don't think I ever could possibly do that if I spent my entire life trying to do it. But that's how invested I am. It's been a lovely privilege to get to raise my children here alongside my friends who feel like family. And I mean, gosh, I could go on about it forever, but it's getting late. And I actually, now I have these 30, I'm going to claim my 30 seconds to tell everybody thank you for 44 years of life in Pleasanton. There's no place I'd rather be, and we could be different places, and we just don't want to. We love it here, and we're not going anywhere.
Thank you. And Kelly McCoshie, Area 3.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I've lived in 5 different states throughout my life, but Pleasanton is my home now. I came here just shy of 7 years ago because of my children's father's work. Once I arrived here, I embraced this community as if it was just my home in my homegrown community in Iowa, because Pleasanton has that small town feel. My involvement has included being part of the Youth Commission. That was my first involvement in the community with our students. And one of the reasons I wanted to run for school board initially is because I was doing all this great work in education, but not within my community. What I would like to share is that the work that we do with our students is really about connections with the community. In my work as an elected trustee, I can say that I am proud to have built lifelong relationships with many of my children's teachers, with my neighbors, many parents doing volunteer work at Walnut Grove, my love and passion for the arts, and that is why my conviction to continue to serve as a trustee is paramount, because it's that leadership quality and the experience working together with this community to bring every child along to be successful. I have a brother that has had significant disabilities and shared, I can relate to what Donald is sharing. It is challenging in regards to making sure that every child can be successful, but that is why my conviction and my loyalty as a trustee is not only for my own children, but for every single student, every single child will be successful. I love Pleasanton. I'm not going anywhere. I have 2 high schoolers and a middle schooler, and it takes a village. And I am proud to continue to serve every single student here in Pleasanton, because Pleasanton now is my home, as if I've just been here. It's not the number of years, it's what you do within the community for that success. And that is why I am dedicated to serve our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Flynn, Area 4.
This is a very exciting question. I have been in this area since 2010. My husband and I purchased our house over by Rayleigh's in 2014. I've been at the school fundraisers, the fun runs, the book fairs. I've fed the football team snacks as they get on their bus to head to a game. I serve on the PPIE board of directors, where we advocate and fundraise funds for all of our district. I have also mentioned today already, but I serve on the superintendent's budget advisory committee. I've advocated at the city meetings for SROs and crossing guards as they become an issue for funding. I participated in efforts with the Youth Commission when they had their anti-vaping campaign many years ago. I've worked in the schools and I've gone the extra mile for the teachers, which is why they're going the extra mile for me tonight and supporting me while I campaign to be your District 4 representative. Thank you.
Thank you. And Charlie Jones, Area 4.
So my family moved here in 1997. The first house we lived on was on Waldeck Court. My mom was so excited when she saw that house, she put our minivan on 2 wheels, turning it to see it. Like, my mom was excited. It was a Ford Aerostar, way too large to be going on 2 wheels. But she knew that this was the community that she wanted to raise her child in. And this is where I grew up. From there, my dad and I built the computer that Mr. Grantham uses in the band room and donated it to him because we love this community so much. I've lived here my whole life. We've been lifelong renters. The only exception to that was when my parents retired and moved away. I couldn't afford to live here on my own, on a teacher's salary. So I was gone for 1 year, and I worked my way across the pay scale in that year to afford being able to move back, because that's how much I love being here and being a part of this community. And I do everything that I can on a teacher's salary to try and stay here. At one point, I actually applied to work at the school district, but they didn't pay enough for me to live here. We have teachers that live in multi-generational homes because of how expensive it is. So I do everything I can. I stay in a 1-bedroom apartment. I moved 2 minutes down the street at one point to make sure that I'd be able to stay here, because this is the community I love and the community I want to be in. And so when I moved that 2 minutes down the street, it was also fiscally responsible. It kept my rent from going up, and it gave me an additional 100 square feet. This is something that you need for someone looking at the budget, because that means I know how to be fiscally responsible and how to also expand on the money that we have. I love this community. It's a community that made me feel comfortable to come out and be who I am, my authentic self. If it wasn't for the band program, I wouldn't have been able to do that. This is the community that inspired me to become a teacher. The teachers here are why within CTA, I help make sure that they get funding for trainings and doing professional development and going to different regional conferences. They come to me to help find out what money that they can use to do that, and I provide it for the locals. I love Pleasanton. I am dedicated to this place, to the point where I always tell the people that I'm partnered with that either you're living here or I hope you like commuting to see me, because this is my home. I'm not going anywhere. I love it. And I love being able to share this with you, whether it's going to like the Amador Band Cake Breakfast, or whether it's going to different programs. Like I live near Lions Park, so I get to go to the music ones on Fridays. This is my home. It always will be. I love it, and I love that I get to share with you. Thank you.
We'll now move on to closing statements. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to provide final comments. And I'd like to suggest, since we didn't get into much tonight, area-specific issues, that now is a chance to speak directly to voters and trustees Area 3 and Area 4. We're going to go in reverse alphabetical order this time by area. So that means we'll start with Charlie Jones, Area 4.
All right. So tonight you heard from 4 people who very clearly love our city and care deeply for our students. We wouldn't be here otherwise, and I do appreciate all of you being here with me doing this tonight. My name is Charlie Jones, as a reminder, and I'm running to be your next Area 4 school board trustee. The Pleasanton teachers, like I said, inspired me to become a teacher, and now I'm running to lead Pleasanton schools forward. For almost a decade now, I've been educating students. I've been running a department, serving on committees for the district where I teach, overseeing everything from curriculum, surplus properties, and how to better support our budget. As a leader in my teacher association, I've been trained on reading and creating budgets at the district level, and I work on the site level as well for implementing those budgets where I teach. So I fully understand how complex funding works, and I know how to implement a responsible budget. With me, you get someone who can come in and start doing the job on day 1, which is exactly what this district needs during our budget crisis. I'm endorsed by both our teachers and our school service employees because they trust in my knowledge and my hands-on experience to be able to do the right thing for our students. These are the people we trust every day with our kids, so I'm proud to have their trust too. Our community needs new leadership because our current board majority has lost its way. They're proposing a 10% cut to every school's budget, but they're still trying to push money towards our reserves, which is absolutely irresponsible during a budget crisis. We already have departments, it's like science at PMS, having to cut funds for lab experiments just to afford the paper they need to do their job. This is unacceptable, especially with how much we care about STEAM education. Our board even considered cutting counselors like I talked about earlier tonight, which is even more concerning, considering how much we care about our kids' mental health. Every dollar we cut is a dollar taken from your child's education. As your trustee, I will push cuts far away from the classroom and spend our tax dollars wisely. I already do that as a teacher leader, and I have been on the record doing so at many of the past board meetings in this very room. I was the only candidate at the last board meeting to stand in solidarity with parents and students in their fight to rescue our clubs, while also offering potential solutions to the board. When you choose me as your next trustee, you get a partner who listens to you and fights for you for your child's education. This is my home, and these are the schools that gave me the opportunities I needed to become the man I am today. So when you get your ballot in the mail, remember to vote for Charlie Jones for School Board Area 4. I'm the change this district needs with the experience to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan Flynn, Area 4.
So thank you again, Pleasanton Weekly, PPIE, and the PTA Council for hosting this forum. I appreciate the opportunity to share my views and answer the questions. We have excellent schools in Pleasanton. I have a deep understanding of our community's values and the challenges we face. My years of volunteering in the classroom have given me firsthand experience in both supporting our students and our teachers. I've witnessed the dedication of our teachers and staff and the unique needs of our children and students. I'm committed to advocating for both. Through my work on the PPIE Board of Directors and as president of the PTA, I've seen how vital community support is in enhancing our educational programs. Additionally, as the vice chair of the Superintendent's Budget Advisory Committee, I've been actively involved in being strategic with our resources to ensure that every dollar spent maximizes student success. With Steve Maher's retirement, District 4 represents a crucial opportunity for new leadership. I am honored to have his endorsement and the support of 3 other fellow school board trustees, along with many dedicated teachers and community members. I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the Pleasanton Chamber of Commerce, highlighting my commitment for fostering strong partnerships between our schools and local businesses. As we look to the future, I envision a PUSD that prioritizes academic excellence, emotional well-being, and inclusivity for all. I'm committed to being transparent and approachable, dedicated to listening to your concerns and your ideas. I'll serve with integrity, bringing my experience and dedication to our schools and the district. Thank you for being here today. I would be honored to have your vote in November. If you submitted questions and we didn't have time to answer it, I'm happy to stick around and answer them for you. You can also visit my website for more information on me at votejenflynn.com, or you can call me at 925-967-8602. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kelly Mokashi, Area 3.
Good evening. I am once again Kelly Makashi, rerunning for trustee, now Area 3. Experience matters. I'm an incumbent. I've served 4 years as your trustee for school board. I believe in doing what is right for our students. I'm not afraid to stand alone in conviction for what I believe is right for our students. I stood alone advocating for our counselors. I have stood alone on many, many votes. Why? Because I'm compelled to serve our students. I'm the only trustee, the only candidate here that has a double master's in education, in administration, as well as curriculum. I fight for what I believe is the best for our students. I also have the management experience of hiring and firing. One of the most important roles of a trustee is to hire and fire a superintendent. I take that responsibility very seriously, and I have the know-how and understand the role of a trustee that's required to look for the characteristics of what we need. We need transformative change in this district. Currently, I'm working in the trenches in Fremont Unified. I'm working as a classified management within reform. I've had nearly 30 years of experience with reform and change. Community school is a model that believes in transformative change to disrupt the imbalance of power and taking the power down to every individual, whether it be our students, our parents, our teachers, so that we make strategic change. This is the time where we need that experience and qualifications. The district is deficit spending $13 million. This is not just a short-term fix. This is a balanced change that we need to look strategically. what has been done wrong, not just in the last few years, but years ago. We need to make significant change to take a look at what is not working and how do we become more fiscally responsible. Why? Because our students deserve it. Our students deserve the quality education that they need, and I'm willing to fight for that. I am honored to have received endorsements because of my track record. I did not have initial endorsements 4 years ago. Now I'm proud to have the Teachers Union endorsement, APT. I'm proud to have CSEA's endorsement. I'm proud to have the Chamber's endorsement because they have seen I have a proven track record to stand up for our students. I will be honored for your vote for Area 3 because I will fight in what I believe for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Donald Harris, Area 3.
Thank you to the Pleasanton Weekly, to the Pleasanton PTA Council, and to PTIE for being here today. I really appreciate you making this happen. Any questions that you still have, please feel free to check out harrisforpleasanton.com. And most importantly, thank you for showing up here this evening and for all of your thoughtful questions. It's really a privilege to share this space with you, with so many Pleasanton residents who care this much about our schools. I am forever grateful for the solid foundation that PUSD has provided for me. I had no idea that I would do all the things that I've done since getting through PUSD. I got to do the fun, exciting stuff like working for international corporations, owning my own business, helping my husband run a software company, and then the difficult stuff, like leading PTA council during distance learning, starting difficult conversations like holding PUSD accountable when it wasn't meeting students' needs. Our kids are also going to face difficulties as they go out into the world, no matter what paths they take. And it's up to this system to support and equip them. I'm proud that I'm a PUSD product who enjoys the endorsement of the vast majority of present and recent board members who trust me to help prepare our community for the difficulties that lie ahead. This trust in my demonstrated and proven capabilities, combined with my extensive experience as a PUSD parent for 25 years, uniquely qualifies me for this position right now. I've grown with our community. I've seen what our students, teachers, and families need right now because I live it. I also live with a sense of urgency to get the superintendent hire right. I've seen what happens. I've lived what happens when our district suffers from unstable leadership. Our kids only get one childhood, and time's been slipping away while this budget crisis looms and grows ever closer. We don't get any do-overs. Our school board members need to agree upon and articulate a clear vision of what our community expects from a new superintendent, a person who doesn't just check boxes, but who completely invests in moving forward with all of Pleasanton, providing the very best quality education for all of our students, as well as the best possible salaries and benefits to retain and attract experienced staff. In the grand scheme of things, this choice might not seem like it does mean that much, but it means a lot to me. This place, these people, they mean a lot to me. They mean everything to me. We have to get these choices right so that we can continue growing together as PUSD on our terms, continue growing into whatever our students need now and what they'll need next. And that's why I ask you humbly tonight for your vote. Thank you again for being here.
On behalf of the Pleasanton Weekly, I would like to thank all of the candidates for participating, and the Pleasanton PTA Council, PPIE, and the school district for their help tonight. A recording of the form will be available soon through PleasantonWeekly.com and the Pleasanton Weekly's YouTube channel. You can also watch the video of our Pleasanton Mayor and City Council Forum from September 5th by visiting our website. To learn more about supporting our Embarcadero Media Foundation, which is now an independent journalism nonprofit organization, go to embarcaderomedia.org or visit our table at the back of the room. And be sure to grab a Pleasanton Weekly paper on your way out the door. Thank you to our readers in the audience here for your questions. The candidates may even be willing to stick around and answer more with you here in the room tonight. We are so grateful for your support this evening, and we look forward to our final 3 Tri-Valley candidate forums of the season coming up. Next is the Livermore City Council on Monday, September 30th at the Robert Livermore Community Center. Have a great evening.